In this lesson, we're going to be setting our type for the main call out. Okay, so I'm just going to be starting in this area right here, and I'm going to go ahead and we'll pull over our text. Now, we're going to move down a little bit until we get to the part that we're using, and we're going to be using this area right here. So but humans and our activities are the largest threat to the existence of coral. Global warming is causing ocean temperatures to rise. Reefs thrive in waters between 73.4 and 84.2 degrees. If the water temperature rises as much as 1 degree, the algae will desert the coral, causing it to lose its color. This is known as coral bleaching, and if coral is without its algae for an extended period of time, the coral will die and cannot grow back. So that is all leading up to what that present rate of destruction is and how fast those corals are going away. So you can see that this area kind of all bolded here is sort of just that main call out in our whole piece that we're creating here. So this is a really important part of text. So we want it to be just have a lot of attention drawn to it. And it's already going to with this yellow bar underneath it. So I'm going to go ahead, we'll copy the whole thing. We'll just hit Control C to copy that. And then we'll come over here and I'm just going to hit Control V for now, and we're just going to paste the whole thing in there. And then let's just start breaking it up just like we have been all along. So part of kind of what's going on here as the story is being told is this area is talking about all the great things about coral and how it's beneficial to us. And then we have this word but. So that's the big shift. But is the shift. So I want but to be on its own line just so that it really calls attention to itself, just the way that it's going to be looking. And again, this is set up as a center alignment right now. So that but is going to be up here. If you want to, we can go ahead and set this to a left align, but we will set it back to center. This is just so we can figure out exactly how we want to group this together. So let's go ahead and put that back where it goes, and then we'll start or continue breaking this apart. So humans and our activities, that's kind of a big piece of text there. So let's go ahead and put that down on the next line. So, but humans and our activities are actually the largest threat to the existence of coral. And then we have a period. So that seems like a really good place to end it. And because of the way that we can set that type, we don't have to have that period. We'll decide if we want to keep that here in a moment. Global warming is causing the ocean temperatures to rise. Great place to break it. We've got a period right there. Then we'll drop this down. Reefs thrive in waters between 73.4 and 84.2 degrees. Great place to break that. And then we'll bump that down also. So if the water temperature rises as much as 1 degree, the algae will destroy. And then it kind of, just goes into sort of that explanation. So that's not the critical part. We'll go ahead and treat that differently in a moment. So first, let's deal with the word but. So I'm going to go ahead, we'll highlight this. Let's have this be all caps. So I'll just go ahead and turn that up. And right now it's set to bold. I think that's great. We can leave that as it is. Humans and our activities, let's go ahead and use our Garamond that we've been using so far. So I'm going to come up here and we'll just eyedrop from one of these, and this is only 11/19 right now, so I'm going to go ahead and let's bump this up to be a little bit bigger. So this is at 28, so let's put this at about 14, something like that. And then our actually the largest threat to the existence of coral, let's go ahead and just kind of copy that same treatment down, but we'll, instead of having it at 14, let's make it a little bit smaller, just maybe around 10 or 11. 11 looks pretty good. And then we've got the global warming is causing ocean temperatures to rise. So we'll go ahead and let's just leave it with DIN, but I'm going to make it all caps. And maybe we can set this down to regular instead of bold. And let's go ahead and make this smaller as well. So we'll put this at 15. It's going to be a little bit bigger than, what we have up here, but still going to be really bold looking. And let's go ahead and come into our paragraph and make that center aligned. So now we kind of have this nice little sentence set up here. And now we've got this part where we are talking about the reefs thriving in waters between 73 and 84 degrees. Now, I think that we could do something really interesting with this piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and change that to center alignment, but we'll change that up here in a moment. And let's make this one center alignment as well, and just figure out a good place to break this. Now, if I zoom back here, you can see that we can probably break this right about the middle to give that two separate lines, and that's going to be just a little bit past the midpoint right here, and we have a period, so that'll be a great place to break this. Now this is obviously way too big compared to the more important text that we have above it, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll just move over here to the side, and let's just highlight all of that text. Just kind of getting the whole picture in there. And we're going to make this quite a bit smaller. So let's take this down to maybe about 20, and let's make it maybe just give it a little bit less leading. So just kind of right in there, 20 over 22, perfect. And then I'm going to take this part and we're going to increase the leading quite a bit. So we'll just select that top line and we'll push this down. So we really have something interesting to work with here for this reefs thrive in waters. So let's just go ahead and take that sentence, and I'm going to cut that out. So we're going to hit Control X to cut that. And this is still looking quite a bit too large. So let's figure out how we can make this sentence smaller. Let's make it even smaller than the 20 that it's sitting at right now. So I'll just go ahead, we'll highlight the whole thing, and let's take it down to maybe 11. So it's going to be just about as small as this one, and we'll put it over 12. And then we'll grab that top line again, and let's just push this down so we have some room to play with that temperature sentence. So let's figure out where that went. Oh, I guess that's still on our clipboard. So we'll just go ahead and grab our text tool, click and hit Control V, and that can paste that for us. Now, I like the word between that we have here. So I think if we put reefs thrive in waters between, we could maybe put 73 over here on the left and 84 over here on the right. So you're still going to read it as reefs thrive in waters between 73 and 84, and just kind of visually reinforce that. So let's go ahead and we'll just take this piece of text and we'll hit Control C to copy that. And then I'm going to hit Control V to put this on the side. And then we'll just delete the word and we'll also delete degrees. And we don't need this one anymore. So now we have it kind of set up like this. And we can go ahead and add degrees just so that that's kind of obvious what that is. An easy way to do degrees is to hold Alt, and then over in your number pad, 0176 is going to give you that degree sign. So hold Alt, 0176, and that's just the keyboard shortcut for degree. Okay, so now let's go ahead and maybe change up the treatment of reefs thrive in waters between also. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that, and let's make this Garamond. And then let's come up here and make this bold italic. And we probably need to play with our capitalization just a little bit. So we'll make it look like that. And now I want there to be some more space in between these. So let's go ahead and turn back on our grid lines. So we'll just come over here to our layers, turn back on those guides, and I want to push this kind of to the limit. So an easier way to do that might actually be just to take this and put it on its own layer. So I'll go ahead and we'll do a Control X and then paste it just up here, and we'll cut this one as well, and I'm just going to paste it directly after that. So now we can just add some space in between these, and it's definitely going to be easier if this was a left alignment. And we'll just add some space in there until we get this over to the other side. So just kind of like that, bring that over a little bit just so it's right there on the edge. And now we can bring those up so that they are kind of sitting on that same line again. And now we have this, really interesting setup here. We can maybe just grab only the reefs bit of text. So select everything and then just shift click that number, and that'll give you just this part here. And we can make sure that this is perfectly centered on our artboard. So grab that align, and we'll do that horizontal align center. So obviously that scooted that over pretty significantly. And then let's just go ahead and put a bar in between here just to really help to call that out. So we'll grab that rectangle tool, come over here, and let's grab that light swatch that you've got there. I'm just going to place this right in between here, just like that. And I'll go ahead, pull that over there to this bleed. And we'll swap this so that that color is going to be the fill. We don't want a stroke on it. And I'm just going to send this to the back. So arrange, send to back, so I can still see my text here. And now I want to just play with the color of everything a little bit. And also, let's kind of bring this down just a little bit closer. Let's make sure that this is right in the center also. And let's bring up this line so that it's closer to the line that we have here. And we can add some illustrations on the top of this in a few lessons as well. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my character panel. We'll bring that up just so that spacing is equal between here and here. So that looks a little bit better. And right now the reefs bit of text, the F looks a little too close to that edge, so maybe we can just pull that down a bit, just right there, and then maybe nudge all of those pieces up, just kind of like that. So that's going to look a little bit better, and we may want to just push this down a bit. It's still going to look as if it's aligned, but that F now just feels a little bit better. And now one thing I want to do is, just kind of play with the color a little bit. So I think this whole, all of this text here, we're talking about temperature. So let's choose something that feels a little bit more warm. Let's go with that kind of pink color that we created. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. We'll swap those, the fill and the stroke, just to be our fill. And it looks like we're having just a little bit of an issue getting that to swap. So I'm just going to undo that, and we'll bring that fill forward and go ahead and choose that red color there. So a little bit strange we had to do it that way, but that's totally fine. So now we'll just go ahead and select this piece of text just right there, and let's go ahead and change that to pink as well. It's a little bit hard to get to just because of the way that this text has been set up. If you wanted to, you could send that to the back, and then also grab this piece and we'll send that to the back again. So now we can click on that or click on that. That's a little bit better stacking order just for being able to select. Now, one last thing I want to do is just kind of create some arrows here as well. So we kind of get the sense of, moving from this temperature to this temperature. So what I'm going to do is just kind of start right here and create that path. So I just grabbed my pen tool, created a quick little path there. I'm going to switch this over to a stroke, and we can come over here to our stroke panel, and let's increase the weight of that, and let's give this a dashed line. So we'll go ahead and check this and maybe change that style to be preserved exact dash and gap lengths, and then let's come in here and make this a little bit smaller. So instead of 12, maybe try a 5. That looks pretty good. And maybe make this just a little bit shorter. Just pull that back, and then maybe we can Scoot that over a bit. Just a little hard to select. Just kind of scoot that over there. And then let's go ahead and create a little triangle just to be the arrowhead on this side. So I'm going to come over here, and this time we can use our star tool to do that. So I'm just going to draw, and instead of having 5 points, I'm just going to hit the arrow down key so that it has 3. Then I'll hold shift just to kind of snap that into place. And we want to go ahead and turn off the dashed line and switch that to the fill. We'll turn this on its side by holding shift just to snap that into place. And then we can move it down, scale it down a little bit. And I was just holding shift and alt together so that that would scale proportionately and to the middle. And I'll go ahead and select both of those, and we'll scoot this over here. Now, I'm not going to need to play with this stroke anymore, really. So I'm going to go ahead, select it, and go up to Object, and we're just going to turn this to Fills. So go to Path, Outline, Stroke, and now we'll just be able to control the color of this a little bit more easily. So let's go ahead and change the color from that pink to the dark navy blue color we have over here. And then I'm going to just Alt, Shift, drag this over to the other side. We'll flip this over, holding shift, and let's change this one to teal. So this is kind of just a visual representation that we've got something that's a little bit more cold over here with the darker, and then lighter with that light blue. And this, I'm going to just kind of group those two together. So I'm just selecting both and hitting Control G. And then let's scale them down just a bit so this one on the right feels like it fits a little bit better. And then we'll move that one over. And if you wanted to, you could move this bit of text over just a bit. Even if it's not in the perfect center, it still looks perfectly centered if it's just nudged a couple of spaces. And part of that reason why that feels so tight also is because of the way that the 8 is different from this area here underneath the degree sign. So you could maybe come in and tighten that up a little bit more if you felt like those arrows were too big. But for the most part, we have this call out piece of text finished up, and I think that it looks pretty good. So we have all of that text set, and now in our next lesson, we'll come in and set up a couple more blocks of text that have that call out feel, and then we'll be ready to start adding some other elements to our infographic that are really going to make it start to come to life. So we'll talk about how to set up those other call outs in the next lesson.